Breaking the Silence is a podcast that dives into the intricate and often challenging topics of grief and loss within relationships. Through insightful discussions, the podcast aims to explore how pain can be transformed into purpose, leading to healing and growth. By addressing themes such as inner child work and the journey towards feeling alive once more, this podcast offers a beacon of hope for those navigating difficult emotions. Ultimately, Breaking the Silence aims to guide listeners towards moving forward and embracing all the blessings that life has in store as they embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. I'm your guide through this journey, Renee Wallace, and I invite you to join me as we break the silence surrounding grief and loss, transforming pain into purpose and finding hope in the healing power of storytelling. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to Breaking the Silence. Today is a really special episode because I'm not doing this alone anymore. You've heard my voice, you've heard my heart and my story, but I believe healing happens in relationships, right? And in connection. That is where it really happens. So today I get to introduce you to someone who's walked me through some of the deepest, darkest valleys and helped me laugh in the midst of it, cried with me, just been my biggest cheerleader. Like, if you need a hype girl, she is for sure your girl. Like, she is just that beautiful person that will hype me up and cry with me, laugh with me, all the things. So anyways, she is my best friend, my safe space, my person that I feel like I can just tell anything to. And so she's officially joining me as co-host of this podcast. And I honestly couldn't be more excited for you to get to know her and love her as much as I do. So, welcome, Kelli.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
I'm excited for this journey between, well, for one, for you and me, because it's always fun for us to do. Everything we do is fun together, but for everybody else to even get to experience it and know you and love you, like I said, like the way I do. So I figured like we would just sort of right now give like some of the background of even how we met and stuff like that. And then just sort of a little bit about you. And that's what this episode would be. I don't know. Do you want me to share how we met or do you want to share it or?
You can share.
Okay. So we were in sixth grade. And so we met in middle school in gym class, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I don't know how much you want me to say, so maybe I should let you. This is your story on this part. So you get to say whatever you want.
Well, I try to think back. I mean, that moment that I approached you and we became friends is very vivid in my mind. But I try to think like before that, I was like what, like, had we already been in school like a couple of days, a week? I don't remember. I think we knew each other, right?
Well, we must have, I think.
We did after that.
We really knew each other then.
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of personal, but it's funny too. And it's just funny because, you know, that we've stayed such good friends because it's really something you could have ran away from me. Like, oh my gosh, she is a total weirdo. Anyway, I guess it was gym class. And back then, when was that? When would that have been? Like 82, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe.
back in the 80s.
Well, yeah, probably because we would have been about 12 years old. Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Like 82, 83, probably.
You used to have to take showers after gym class. And, you know, as bodies start maturing, I had areas of my body that were more mature, I thought, than others. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't alone. And I wanted,
I love how you word it.
and
I just
so,
wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one.
and I think you were like, yeah, no, me too. I was like, okay. And
Friends
then,
forever now.
and then I think we were. From then on, I think we were like inseparable. I mean, it just was like, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It was just like, we just clicked.
We did. And that's funny. You said something before that caught, I should have had paper and pen here. I normally do, so that I don't forget the things I want to say. But, and I wish I could remember exactly what it was that you said, but it did make me think like when we're real and vulnerable like that, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where real connection is, right? And so
Yeah.
maybe that is what it was that just bonded us, that
Mm-hmm.
to be vulnerable. And I don't know.
But I feel like, I don't know, because I was so incredibly shy then. I mean, so shy. And so I don't even know how, I mean, it must have been something with you that I just felt comfortable with. I mean, in the short time that we knew each other, that I can muster up to ask you this very personal question. And again, you could have been, maybe you were like, you're my kind of weird. So let's be friends.
You are right up my alley, girl. That's probably more what it is. We're on the same level of weird.
So, yeah.
But it is true, like when you think of that, like how somebody, and isn't that the truth though, too, anyways, that we can be so afraid of how somebody might react to us or respond to us when
Hmm.
we ask a personal question or, like,
Yeah.
yeah, but something just, yeah, my level of weird and friends sense them.
Yeah.
So, just even thinking about like how we've shown up for each other through seasons of loss, like we've walked through a lot of stuff together.
Hmm.
I was thinking
Yeah.
about this the other day when we decided that we were going to do this and just thinking about divorces, I mean, heartbreak, even in high school, our loves, what we thought were our loves,
Hmm.
boyfriends, all of the stuff. And then, divorces and child loss. You know, so many, you've walked me through so many deaths now, it feels like.
Hmm.
It's really just, I mean, it's beautiful what a lifelong friendship can be. And even hard times, there was
Hmm.
times in high school and stuff, different times that we would get in a fight and we'd stop talking. But
Yeah.
what a beautiful friendship still that even you can go through that and come back again, and or that you can talk about hard things, and like that's just real life and real relationships, and irritate each other sometimes and still love each other and all the things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So I was just sort of thinking about that with, I don't know if there's anything you want to share about even the seasons that we've walked through or any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just think, now knowing, well, that you've educated yourself so much, and like, I guess verbiage that people use now about like trauma bonding and things like that. I don't know that if our friendships, well, I always think that like a blonde and a brunette are connected to each other. It always seems like when there's best friends, there's always a blonde, there's always a brunette. Although I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to get a little bit more blonde because I got some gray. But
On covering that up.
um, but yeah, I guess I don't know what it was that just we became just such fast friends. Again, I don't know if it's just because your childhood, my childhood,
Mm.
um, we were just inseparable. I mean, I think I don't really think, and if you don't mind me saying this, I don't think you were very trusting at that point in your life.
Mm-mm.
I don't realize that I don't know that I realized I had trust issues at that time. So maybe we just felt like I just felt safe with you even then, like gosh, don't make me emotional.
And that's okay. Like we're being real here.
No crying. Um
This is a safe place to cry. I do it on here often.
um yeah, sorry, that just touched me. I'll try not to ugly cry. Um but I know that you and I would just be like inseparable, like spend weeks at a time together. And then we'd be like, I'm sick of you. Go home. And he'd be like, I'm sick of you too. And like one of us would no sooner pull in the driveway and they'd be like, can she come back?
We'd be on the
I think
phone to each other.
I
You
think we
want to come
really
back
were like,
over?
yeah, maybe like sisters, like and and then I'll be able to stop crying.
That's okay.
And I don't mean this like to toot my own horn, but I think back that, and I don't know how to say this without feeling like, oh, whatever, but I think I feel lucky that you trusted me so much because I knew even at a young age that you didn't trust very much. And I felt like you knew even then that I was just a safe place for you. I hope you do.
Mm. Well, I was going to say when you said, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but I don't feel like you were very trusting back then. I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it does speak volumes about you that I trusted you so much.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that is probably why there is such a bond there. Because when you find that, like for me, I should say, I should speak for myself. When I find that, like you want to hang on to that, right? Because there
Yeah.
aren't too many people that
Yeah.
I will say, like, I fully trust you,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
share those um, really like deep things
Yeah.
and intimate parts of me. And like, I was actually just telling a friend the other day, like, when I die, like, my text messages with my best friend should be one thing that is never, ever read. Just don't even look because it is all there.
I think I still have like so many, I'm sure I do in my storage. I have so many letters, even from middle school and high school, because I feel
Mm.
like between every class, we were passing notes. Like we would talk during school, in between classes with notes. We would get home, you would call me, and Ernie would be like, that's my stepdad. He would be like, didn't you just see her? And I'm like, yeah, I know. She's coming over for the weekend too.
And just
They
think
stay a
back,
week.
she's coming over for the weekend too. And it literally was like that. We would get on each other's nerves and
Uh-huh.
go home. And seriously, probably I bet within like an hour or something, we were back on the phone, like, you want to come back over?
Oh, I would regret it. I don't know why we didn't just learn our lessons and like just separate and stay. But that was probably us, our like A personalities kind of, just being like, then pushing each other away or whatever,
Hmm.
wanting that back.
Yeah.
So
Gosh, yes. Just think about that. And I can't wait till we talk about that stuff more. Like even with attachment theory and all that stuff, like that's so true. Like we needed a little bit of space. Like you're getting on my nerves. I need some space.
yeah,
And then we were like,
yeah,
okay, that was enough space. I'm good. Come back. And just like Christmas morning and stuff, like you were the first person I'd call and okay, what'd you get? Okay, this is what I
yeah.
got. And ready. So just even to talk about like what I feel like you will bring to the table with co-hosting with me, I think people can already see this, like there's the humor and there's the tears and there's just the realness of
Mhm.
you for one, and then our friendship and everything. And so
Mhm.
I think that this will be such a beautiful thing because it will just be real and authentic and vulnerable and funny and all the things. So I'm excited about that. And I think that, like, even our personalities, I was thinking about our personalities too. Like, we're so similar in so many ways. And it's weird because a lot of times you would think, like, sometimes you'd almost think like people are so much too much alike, or, like they'll sort of maybe like butt heads because they're so much alike.
Mhm.
And I think we're very much alike, but I don't see that at all, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
Well, I think maybe like some of our personalities, I think we are very different, but maybe it's just because we do have some similarities. Maybe it's kind of like our backgrounds a little bit, but maybe it's just more of like our moral compass and that kind of stuff that kind of, like really makes us bond, you know?
yeah, maybe. But I feel like even and when we talk about things, I think we're both very good sounding boards for each other.
Hmm.
Um, because if we're going through something, we're able to just like be real with each other. And like you might say to me like, Renee, am I just like totally off the wall here? Or same for me, like
Uh-huh.
Kelly, I need you to tell me right now if I'm just being ridiculous. And I think that we are so real, which you want that with a friend. You don't want
Right,
somebody that's just gonna tell you what you think, they're just going to tell you what they think you want them to say. Like you want a
right.
friend that's going to say, no, I think you're wrong. Like, I
Hmm.
think here's what I think. And I'm willing to say the hard things. I love you enough to say the hard things.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I should say, and to speak truth into your life.
Yeah.
So not just like sugarcoat it and like, oh, let me make it all happy for
Hmm.
you or whatever, but be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. I thought it would be fun now just to do sort of like a little Q&A so
Hmm.
that everybody can get to know you a little bit better. So is that okay if I ask you some questions?
She's an ugly crier.
Well, hey,
Yes.
believe me, I'm an ugly crier too. We know. Um,
They'll be like, oh, now we know why they're so close. They
exactly.
like to cry.
Yes. They're criers and they laugh so hard they almost pee their pants. Or sometimes they do actually in Coles.
To be specific.
Okay. So tell me, what's something that people wouldn't know about you?
Mm, that they wouldn't know about me.
Any little thing you want to share?
Mm,
Well, you know what? Actually,
I
why
don't
don't
know.
you share? Here, this helps because they don't know you. At least,
Uh-huh.
my listeners right now, share a
Mhm.
little bit about you, like you yourself. Are you
Like,
married? Do you have kids? Let me help you.
yes, yes. So I am married. This is actually my third marriage. And probably after my second marriage, I said I would never get married again. And I definitely knew I did not want to be a stepmom, which I am a stepmom. And and honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it's really good because blended families are very hard.
Hmm.
Um, I think that just makes me think. I think one thing that people don't know about me is I think a lot of times gosh, this is emotional. I think I just always put on a happy face, even when I'm struggling.
Mm.
So I think, and anyway, gosh, I don't want this whole thing to make me crying.
But you know
Um,
what? I love that because there's so many times that I have cried recording episodes. One, just not too long ago that I was like, oh my gosh, I did not at all expect to be this emotional because I was talking about something from months before.
yeah.
And yet here I was like over and over again, I would break down crying. And I was like, but you know what? That is what I want this to be. I want it to be that, first of all, the whole thing is about breaking the silence, being able to speak our truth, being able to use our voice. And um, I want others to know it is okay, like to cry. It is okay to be vulnerable and real. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like I think that's the beauty of it. And that's where people get to really connect with us because they are probably struggling with a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
actually, I just did an interview of someone that she was talking about, like, she always wore the mask, she played the part, she looked happy, she did all the
Yeah.
things she was supposed to do. Do you realize? And I'm sitting there listening to her thinking, oh my gosh, I feel
Hmm.
like I did the same thing. And how
Yeah.
many people are probably thinking the exact same thing? Like, I can totally relate to that.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that comes down to even where we talk about like, there's I mean, I'm not saying that we're fake. That's not what I'm saying. But you
Yeah.
put on this, you don't let people see the real struggles or the real things that are going on. There are very few people to see the deep, deep stuff, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
I
And
think,
I never feel like I'm being fake because
Right.
honestly, I think I'm so transparent. I think people closest to me always see through me. Like
Right.
even text, like some people are like, I could tell something was wrong, because I just try to still be like muster up enough to make it seem like myself, at that moment. And they'll be like, yeah, no, I could, what's wrong? And I'm like, what are you
Right.
talking? They're like, your text was totally different. And, so I'm trying, but I'm very transparent as much as I don't want to be, because I don't want to be vulnerable sometimes, and that's really hard. But anyway, as far as who I am, I don't know. I guess when people ask me that question, like I know who I am, but I think to verbalize that, like, I am married, so I'm a wife, I'm a stepmom, I'm a mother. So yeah, I don't know how like detailed, like,
Let's
this is my third marriage. After my second marriage, I just thought I would never get married again. And, I think God just works in, I don't know if I want to say mysterious ways. He works in wonderful ways. And,
hmm
um, my husband that I met, like I was friends with before, we had worked together. He was happily married. I was happily married. We had this friendship. And then, he left, he went on to work someplace else, and then he got divorced, and then I went on to work someplace else and I got divorced. And then we just kind of, he found out that I was getting divorced, so we just kind of connected through that. And I really just thought it was going to be a friendship. And I know, I guess God had different plans for me, because I was like, I never wanted to be a stepmom, just because I come from a blended family, although I would not change it for the world, because I adore my sisters. And I mean, they're my rocks. I don't know what I would do without them. Again, God knew what he was doing. But so, I start dating my husband, and then I'm like, oh, he's got two kids.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
But, life just ebbs and flows. And I think sometimes that I get so caught up in my own feelings, me, that sometimes I have forgotten, they are also in a blended family,
hmm
and that's to step back, because things are just real eye openers for you, and yeah, um, the life changes, the kids are growing up, and we're about to be empty nesters. And then it just feels, even with the, sorry,
You're fine.
even with my stepkids, I feel like it's gone too fast too.
hmm Yeah, because you the last ones graduating, right?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway,
And it's
yeah,
like in a blink of an eye, and it's all you're like, wow. I mean, especially when you think back to when you were like, when you realized, hey, I like this guy and he's got two kids. Wait a minute, and how old they were at the time, right?
yeah, yeah.
Excuse me.
But it's just, I think sometimes that I am so, not always, like I'm not trying to make it that it's all me, but I think sometimes the reason that it has been hard sometimes is because I am so guarded. I don't want to just give in. Like I still want to like reserve myself, and I think that's how other people in the family are as well. Just because all had hurts, and I think it's
hmm
just taken some time. It's like, maybe we're kind of getting there. It's been years, but I come from a blended family, and it's also been years. And it's there's just a lot of family in itself is hard, but I think blended families, and that's a whole another layer, right? We all
Right.
know that definitely
Absolutely.
has
Oh,
had some complexity to it and stuff like that. But again, I just think, like my son was very guarded. He was very like standoffish and stuff. And, you just, I just picture it like everybody's kind of in a hole, but everybody's kind of like starting to peek out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
hmm
I think it's safe to kind of come out, and so
Mm,
anyway,
I
yeah.
love that.
So
So, what do you feel like your healing journey has looked like?
um, it definitely is, faith based. Like like going through my divorce, my second divorce. I married my high school sweetheart, and we I think we just kind of realized that we were young, and so while it was in fact a marriage, I think we both were like we were young, and I guess I just assumed I would get married again, which I did, and then that's a story for another time.
Right.
But I definitely feel like, I mean, I've always believed in God, I mean, like when I was little, going to church and, things that my mom instilled in me and stuff like that. But I don't feel like I had a true relationship with God until my second force. I mean, I just feel like I remember my aunt telling me, she's like, I think you need to start going to church. Like my son Hayden, he had gone to the church for preschool. And so we were familiar with that church. And she was like, I think you just really need to get into church. And so I went and met with one of the pastors. And he was like, a lot of times when people have like hurts like this, they're mad at God. And I do feel like there's some things in my life that would be very, very detrimental to me but in this particular case, I wasn't mad at God. I really feel like I did lean into him. And I think that he really gives you beauty for ashes. And I think that my healing journey is just more and more, even being more vulnerable with him, to be like, you can trust him, like he shows you time and time again. And I mean, there's still so many times that I'm like, oh, even today I was having some really like some stuff on my mind, about my son that I was like, I was taking it internally and I was worrying. And I I just feel like he was like, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I have showed you time and time again that you worry about things that you don't need to worry about. And so I think that's it. I think I just keep learning more and more of who he is, and I really feel like without God, I certainly would not be where I am. I mean, I wouldn't be as healed as I am, and yeah. So,
Well, I think you almost answered my next question, even in that, because I was going to ask you, and actually, you might have answered my next couple questions. One was, how has your view on love, loss, and faith evolved? And I
mhm,
feel like you sort of just answered that in a way.
yeah.
And my next one would be, and you can expand on this if you feel like there's something you would want to share. What's
Mhm.
something you're still figuring out?
Um, I think so, to trust, really,
Mm,
just and not take things so personally, and get my feelings hurt so easily. And that's so hard because sometimes you and I have talked about this too, like I don't always want to take blame for it. I mean, sometimes people just hurt your feelings, right? But I think
right.
it's a matter of regulating my own emotions and how I deal with things and stuff like that. So definitely I'm still such a loner, and I think
Mm,
my husband and I, we still talk about things like that. He's like, you are not on an island by yourself. And it's not always even things that he's done or I perceive that he's done. A lot of times it's just me. It feels safe,
I was
and
just getting ready to say, but that, from what you know, feels safe.
yeah.
Like I know it comes down to I know I can count on myself, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And God, whatever I can't do on my own, I've seen He's got me through it. So I'm like, I'm good.
Right.
So I'm a runner, and I never knew that of myself. I never thought I was like that, But it's one of these things where I'm like, love me, don't love me. Love
Hmm.
me. I want you to love me. Don't love me. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so, but yeah. I'm
Mm.
very complicated. I tell my husband, I'm like, I'm a very complicated person.
We are as humans, first of all, and then you bring in wounds from our past
Mhm,
and things that have happened to us, and it does shape who we are, and it
mhm,
shapes how we show up in relationships. And there's like this inner child inside of us
mhm.
that is just trying to protect us, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, we it's a process of healing, and but I do believe, I mean, I fully believe like we have to go back
Mhm.
and heal those wounds so that we don't continue to keep repeating the same patterns and that
Right.
we can show up differently in relationships. So,
Yeah.
but it's a process for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you hope that this podcast does for women or even men listening, anybody listening, honestly?
Mhm. Mm, um, I guess I guess just to focus on just to have faith, like where I work, I had this person tell me that I was asking questions and then they had to tell me they were going through a divorce and she, started crying and I think, I don't know if I want to say felt powerful, but I felt like I could truly tell her it's going to be okay. And I mean, I know, I know that's so hard because I remember even my mom would give me such good advice. She would be like, in 3 years, you're not going to be here, and I would be like, well, why don't you just tell me eternity, mom, but it's so true. Everything she said. And even just my mom giving me um, that advice, probably even from her own past, and then just showing what God has done, I guess I'm kind of getting off track here, but just talk about like love and loss. I just, even when I got divorced the second time, I just felt like I was going to be lonely. Nobody was going to want me. I was old, and,
Hmm.
my son was going to be going off to college. And I think it is all the cliches are so true. It happens when you're not looking for it. And that's so hard because then you're trying not to look for it. I don't want to look for it, so it'll happen.
Well, and I think that when you go through such significant loss, whether it is the loss of a child, a spouse, a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, there is absolutely that part that I know you felt. I remember us talking about it. I remember us crying about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that you feel like your life is over, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you really don't feel like there could be joy again, or,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just feels so dark in that
Yeah.
season. And
Yeah.
so your mom was so right in that, 3 years from now. And like even somebody just commented on a TikTok that I shared that I did, and she was saying like that her husband just died 5 months ago. He is only 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, how do I go on? Like, how do I live without him? Like, how will I ever be okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing that I remember people saying to me, like, and I told her, like, I know you don't believe this right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I promise you, like, it will not hurt like it does right now. It won't
Right.
always hurt that way.
Right.
Yes, you will forever grieve what you've lost. It
Mm-hmm.
never goes away. I will never stop grieving my son. I will, Brian, I will never stop grieving Dave.
Yeah.
But it does change. You won't, you forever will know the losses in your marriage too, and what you
Yeah.
went through. But it does evolve and it does change, and there is joy and there is beauty again.
Yeah.
And there can actually be
Mm-hmm.
happiness again and love and all those
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
And I think like just to have a testimony, because then I see like well, I'll just say my kids, but I only have one and then I have my stepkids, but just to say my kids. And I think, even for my husband, like they go through trials and tribulations and stuff too, and it's just and I do love that God has given that to me because I feel like I really can, whenever they've gone through some really hard times, I can be like, I can just stand on that because I know it to be true. Like you say, you're not going to be here. You will find joy again. You
mhm,
will find love. You will find happiness. And and I think that's just really good to, you're not just saying it just to say it. You know it
right.
to be true, and to be able to say something so factual like that, like with such oh, the word just lost me, but
Conviction.
yeah, yeah, that yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you a true story.
Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, really, when Bryant died, like, it felt so incredibly dark that I thought, how on earth ever? Like,
Yeah,
really? I mean, your baby.
yeah, yeah.
But God is faithful and He really does carry you through. And I can literally remember The time I was driving home from a therapy appointment
Mhm.
after Bryant died, and like it was such a cloudy day, sort of like it is today. And there was just all of a sudden, there was literally a break in the clouds, and the
Mhm.
sun came out for a little bit.
Mhm.
And I just remember crying on the way home and thinking, there really is going to be
Mhm.
beauty again. Like, there
Yeah.
was just like this glimpse of there's the sun,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
something to hold on to. Like, God just reminded me,
Yeah.
like, I've got you. It will not always be this dark.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Yeah.
and yeah, I think that's for sure something that we have to hold on to when we're walking through that stuff. But
Yeah.
is there, before, like, I do want to wrap up a few more things with us, but is there anything else that you want to share? Share?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Okay, there we go. So I would love,
Mhm.
as you all listen to this, I would love even to hear from everybody, like of things you would like to hear us talk about, because good grief, we talk about everything anyway. So, I mean, but really, questions or topics or anything like that, I invite you all to do that. And, you can send them to me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee, or for friends on Facebook, or you can message me or whatever. And I'm super excited for us to really get into future episodes. Like, there's some really good ones coming up. I don't know. Do you have a favorite, Kelly, or you can't right now think of it?
Of,
Or
of what?
one of the future episodes that I shared with you that we were going to be doing?
Um, I think, well, for one, I just want to say, I think that you are a warrior.
Oh,
I have so much respect for you. I'm just, yeah. I would have done a heart, but I smashed my pinky and my fingernails missing. I don't want everybody to see this. It was like almost a gang sign.
so there's
Anyway,
my crippled heart for you.
no, I really do. And so with that, I think one of the ones was like the financial. I think there was one about finances and stuff
Hmm. Yeah.
because I just see you, and you've always been that way. I mean, if there is something that you want, you will go after it and you will get it. You have always had such determination, and like for me, mine's been, I think, easy. Mine's like, I apply for a job, I work there, I work for somebody, you just go in, it's just kind of easy, right?
Yeah.
Like yours are, like you're really self-made. And so like I see you in your successes, but that's as crazy as it is because I see you, it's that's scary for me because mine has always been like I'm getting my income from somebody. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But for like you, I see you being very successful, but that's scary for me. So I think that one was about like women in finances because I see you and I you're such a leader, so like I want to like follow you, but it's scary for me. So I don't know if it would just be something like that would really be like me to learn as well. Because even the other day we talked about like I was just going to pull the trigger on doing the I forget what it was, what's it called?
Digital marketing.
Yeah. And again, I see you being successful, and I'm like, oh, because it's scary for me, right? And so, I mean, I just think that would be good because I think I could learn from it more. Again, I trust you, I know it, but I don't know why there's something in me. I think that you are way more of a go getter as far as that goes. You know what I'm saying? As for
Mm.
me, I think I've kind of played it safe, and I don't want to play it safe.
Well, because safe, we'll touch on a couple things there. Yes, I definitely have a very entrepreneurial mindset. Like,
There you
that
go.
is where my independence kicks in of like, I
Uh-huh.
don't want to work for somebody and them tell me what to do. Um, and but safe keeps us stuck, right?
Mhm.
And it's fear is also fear. Our brain just has this way of using fear to keep us right where we're at, because our brain is like trying to tell us like there's a bear out there. If you do that, you're going to get attacked by a bear. And I have my own things, of course, that are
Yeah.
scary to me. And
Mhm.
and sometimes I just well, a lot of times I just have to push myself like, you're going to do it scared. Like,
Mhm.
because, and literally, I even hear more like the more and more healing work I do, I will literally sit with myself if I start to feel myself like that fear of something
Mhm.
and just tell myself, like, there's no bear there. You
Right.
are okay.
Right.
You are not going to die from this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no bear that's going to attack you. You are okay.
Right.
So, but I was trying to look through, that's as you were talking about that, I was trying to scroll through the episodes to find the one, what it's called, but I can't find it right now. But I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's a few that, well, there's a lot that I'm really excited about. I also am excited about the starting over at 50. Like just because I feel like it doesn't even have to be starting over at 50. I feel like so many times we have to start over a new life, when plan A is gone, like what we thought life was going to look like.
All right.
I mean, we know this in so many ways, like
Mm-hmm.
when our marriage ends
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, plan B, starting over. Okay, well, plan A is gone. Let's go to plan B. So,
Right.
anyways,
Right.
I'm excited, anyways, about the episodes. Um, Alrighty. And I did want to ask you, do you want to share? We talked about this earlier. Go ahead and share your favorite quote, or I'm sorry, your favorite scripture.
So it is, he has made everything beautiful in its time. And I'm not sure if I'm going to say it right. Ecclesiastics. Is that right?
Ecclesiastes, yeah.
Yeah. 3:11. And
No.
I like that because that's my son's birthday. And even as far back as how old he is, that was another time of my life that God just gave me beauty for ashes, just something so incredible. So when I see that, I think that 3:11 is just fitting because it yeah, it was a very, very beautiful time of my life that was very dark before. And it was just one of those things that where you like, it was so dark here. And it was like, just hold on because something around the corner is so incredible. And not to say I was going to do anything, but you're just like, just it was so dark at that time, and I was like, had I not held on, look what wonderful gift God had around the corner for me. And I was like, it was one of the most beautiful blessings of my entire life.
Well, and just think about that, because honestly, that is such a beautiful promise from God, right?
Mm-hmm.
That He really will make, no matter what it feels like right now, no matter
Yeah.
how dark it feels, what we're
Mm-hmm.
walking through,
Yeah.
He will make everything beautiful in
Mm-hmm.
His time.
Yeah.
He knows the perfect plan
Mm-hmm.
in the perfect time. And
Yeah.
exactly that's where we can rest in that promise of
Mm-hmm.
He knows,
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember thinking, really? Now? He's like,
right?
yeah, yeah, now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, so many things. And so mine
Mm-hmm.
is Jeremiah 29:11, and it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." And again, it's that same thing of like
Mm-hmm.
just such a beautiful promise from God
Yeah.
of that I see your future and I
Mm-hmm.
have good plans for you. And
Right.
you are going to prosper and just all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So a future of hope. And so, anyways, I just love that's always been my favorite scripture.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, alrighty. Well, I am so excited just for everybody to get to go on this journey with us as we talk about lots of different things. And there is, as I'm sure they can already tell from just this episode, the laughter and the tears and just being super real and vulnerable and really, like, honestly, just real conversations here. Like, as if a lot of times I'm sure it's going to end up being like as if you and me were just sitting around
Mm-hmm.
talking about, and that's how I want it to be, right? I want it to
Right.
be super real and transparent and vulnerable and
Mm-hmm.
just us figuring it out together and
Mhm.
talking about the hard conversations. And in the midst of that, hopefully helping others, someone else in whatever they're walking through. So,
Right.
all righty. Well, um, we will end this for now and we will see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, the journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence. Please be sure to subscribe below and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect further, you can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee.